მოგესალმებით, მე გახლავართ Mamuka.
Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Mamuka Kuparadze and I'm going to be anchor of our discussion from Studio RAM. Today we are going to speak about our conflicts. And to be more correct, we will talk about the transformation of our conflicts. And today we have those NGO representatives who participate in civic dialogue, and with our association friends and colleagues, they are conducting various projects. So let me introduce. This is Gamakharia, Peaceful and Business-like Caucasus, Marina Meshvildishvili, Tskhinvali of the Future, and Merab Labadze, Innovation Education Foundation. And also we have young people here and participants of these projects, and they are having an opportunity to participate in our dialogue and ask questions if they want to. Before we go to questions, let me remind you that such dialogues and projects are always supported and funded with international foundations, and our discussion and our guests actually represent those projects. They are supported UN and EU joint project named COBERM, and COBERM in turn means trust building and early prevention mechanisms. So, Mr. Al, please talk about your project. You have been here many times, and for us it's always interesting to have you here. And I mean, it will be very interesting to get to know with the last phase of your project oriented on peace building, and in Abkhazia and Ossetia regions, and your project stipulates medical treatment of vulnerable groups for Ossetian and Abkhazian citizens, and this is the only project according to which these people come to Georgia. But before that, let's see the report, and then let's talk about the project a bit later.
და შემდეგ ვისაუბროთ ამ პროექტის შესახებ.
Georgian and already Indian entrepreneurs are united around the social philanthropy to help those who live in occupied territories. They got together in the meeting hall of Peaceful and Business-like Caucasus, and this organization and business incubator have been assisting people from Abkhazia and South Ossetia in terms of medical treatment. And the leader of the organization, Gamakharia, said that Abkhazians and Ossetians become closer to Georgia after they are being medically treated, and of course it's first step to build the broken bridge. This project is very important, and for example, one person got served, and his family members, his relatives, they just readdress again, they come again. This is very important and very perspective. By the way, this project is a lot stronger than a state-based political program. I mean, they just think of reconciliation of Abkhazian associations. The participants and coordinators of the project said that such philanthropy will allow the society to address the challenges and not to be dependent on international donors. Well, social philanthropy is a very interesting thing, and having said that, actually funding on behalf of international projects and foundations may be stopped and one fine day, and I think we should be ready for that. And I think most importantly, this is keeping the population aware of this, and I think we should create the area where they would do this good. I mean, for example, maybe one person wants to do some good things, but they may not be able, to do and where to do these good things, and it's a fantastic opportunity to do good to other people. So, according to one of the international entrepreneurs, he's ready to have reliable and transparent business and invest 10% of the profit into the peace building. So, I've spent here a few hours, and I decided that if we're going to work, I think we will going to work in Kutaisi region. We talked about we agreed on creation of new company, and 10% we will invest into social improvement program. And the meeting also was attended by Western Georgian entrepreneurs. Ronnie Chabukian, university lecturer, just came up with a good formula of the good. He said that one favorably minded person with good spirit has an ability to pass on this good spirit to 70 more people, and he assumed that if this program continues in about 8 years in occupied territory, there will be no hostilities towards Georgia. So, we have just seen the report. It's very interesting project. Dynamics is better, and year after year, more and more patients come to Georgia, and statistics actually speaks better about that. For the last few years, you have received 297 patients, and I think it all depends on the hard work and those activities conducted by Georgian side. I don't speak only about NGOs. Those doctors and volunteers that coordinate the transportation and guiding those Abkhazians and Alsatians around Georgia. So what's happening in the last phase? And it's interesting to note that you also invite international donors to finance these activities. Let me welcome everybody. First of all, let me tell you that this is actually growing trend. It becomes actually doubles up every year, and it can be explained by high professionalism of Georgian doctors, by the fact that those expectations that patients have who come from Gudauta and other regions of Abkhazia, they happen to be in a very friendly environment with spirit of good and high medical professionalism. Very often it happens that, for example, someone intimidated comes here, not only, for example, outside Abkhazia, for example, one might have been diagnosed, for example, in Russia with some bad diagnosis, and he comes here, and this bad diagnosis is not confirmed. And the patient understands that his situation is not as bad as he had thought, and such thing actually just happened a few times in Georgia, in Tbilisi, in Kutaisi, and as a result, an idea is formed that Georgian doctors are capable of doing anything. They are so professionally just developed. That's what Abkhazian and Alsatian patients think. And I know many cases when a doctor says that, for example, he doesn't want to actually take up his own salary, but he's ready to do this good actually for free to Abkhazians and Alsatians. And a lot of Abkhazians actually and Alsatians are advised totally for free. Medically. As for the novelties. Of course, we are thinking about what we might do if we lose international funding sources, because, actually everything ends just eventually. But this project is unique. These projects are absolutely 100% directed at the needs of socially vulnerable people from Abkhazia and Ossetia. This is actually a unique project in terms of trust building. What could be better when people come to you and ask for help? And of course, this issue must be addressed properly. I don't want to idolize anything, but we are doing our best to address this issue and to keep people who come to us always happy. This is actually the credo for our activities. Please, you have brought some Indians, and have you actually just launched this mechanism? Well, our second project is business incubator. Contribution to socially vulnerable people to start their own business. And Indians are experienced in this respect. Yes, of course, they're interested in their own business, but we use their interest in order to support our socially vulnerable groups. People who are not very competitive in the job market, and find the just livelihood sources. And it's not that we follow just some ordinary business. Actually, we follow, let's say, socially oriented business, and we ask them, to invest some part of their profit socially and support us to support our friends and our citizens from Abkhazia South Ossetia. And actually, we didn't take much to persuade them. On the contrary, they just offer themselves that they are ready to invest 10% of their profit. And after 2 or 3 months, I think it will be, more vitally expressed. For example, we just created some processing factory in Kutaisi, and this factory worked, but next year we expect better results to be obtained for our beneficiaries. Thank you very much. Now I think we have to stop because of the shortage of our time in the next part of our discussion. So let me ask our colleagues to launch our rubric. Our Abkhazian Association colleagues provide us with news about Tskhinvali and Sukhumi for the past months and what they want to share with us. 9th of May, 73rd anniversary of World War II victory was celebrated traditionally. Actually started with putting flowers to memorials of war. Just those who participated in the wars and participated, Abkhazian Defense Minister and Russia's Federal Border Representative and Russian base representatives. At the end of the parade, the march was conducted named Immortal Division, where relatives of war veterans and those who died in the World War II participated. On May 29, Syria recognized independence of Abkhazia and South Ossetia. And Raul Hajimba, Abkhazia's president, said that this is the result of hard work of Abkhazia's foreign ministry, Abkhazia's embassy to Russia Federation, and other departments of Abkhazia. Recognition of independence was followed with Georgia's statement. Georgia cuts off all diplomatic relationships with Syria. Syria is the seventh country that has recognized independence of Abkhazia. May 14 in Abkhazia, first president of Abkhazia, Vladislav Ardzimba, was paid homage. Today he would be 73, and hundreds of people came to his memorial and put flowers, and also participated Raul Hajimba, Prime Minister Gennady Gagulia, parliament members, and Valery Kochia, and Russia's Federation Alexei Tynyanov in Abkhazia, and civic and private sector, students and relatives of the first president of Abkhazia were there as well. In Abkhazia, it has become tradition. Night it's a museum, and for the first time, State Museum of Dmitry Gulia, Literary Memorial Museum, and Vladislav Ardzimba Military Glory Museum, and the history of those Abkhazians living outside worked till the late night, and each museum just represented their concert and expositions. In front of Vladislav Ardzimba Museum, concert was conducted with participation of children's singing and dancing teams.
Участием детских хореографических и инструментальных ансамблей.
To Lenin Gori, President Anatoly Bibilov and representatives of Parliament and Natalia Gasseva, Ministry of Culture and Science, and other representatives visited Lenin Gori. They first went to the center of Lenin Gori, where they attended inauguration of the kindergarten. It's very important because it's related with children, and they are our features at Anatoly Bibilov. And after celebration activities, they cut the ribbon and inspected the territory of the kindergarten. Between Russia's and Southeast Asia Energy Ministries, agreement of just lay foundation for gasification of the gas supply, and Republic will be fully supplied with gas, and limited company was opened, Gazprom Southeast Asia, that will pay taxes to the budget. And the negotiations had been just underway for many years, and the Gazprom just gave 25%, and less of 75% belong to Russian Federation. In return, Gazprom will supply gas to all the region at its own cost. The economist thinks that this agreement is very beneficial for Southeast Asia, as the full gasification would need 2-3 billion rubles, and the Republic does not have this money. Syria recognized independence of Southeast Asia, and as soon as information became public, a youth organization, United Alanian Citizens, celebrated it with a car campaign where just more than 30 drivers participated. They were just waving flags of Abkhazia, Russia, Southeast Asia, and Syria, and the happiness had no end, and the young people thanked Syria for such a bold step. Southeast Asia, together with all of Russia, Russia's Day was celebrated as well. Son of Anatoly Bibilov declared that this is not only for Russia, but this is a big holiday for Republic Alania. Southeast Asian Republic celebrated this day with cultural activities and entertainment activities at 2 o'clock in Central Square. And just campaign was conducted named La Russia, I Love You, and the tarmac in front of the building was painted in Russia's and Southeast Asian colors, and young people would write on the tarmac, "Thank you, Russia," and Russia, go ahead.
Триколоров. Маленькие дети усердно выводили каждый штрих фразы «Спасибо, Россия» и «Россия вперед».
We have just seen the news blog from Abkhazia, Southeast Asia, and this is the news, as I just say again, what they wanted to share with us. So, Marina, just you were from Tskhinvali in the early 90s, just you left Tskhinvali, and as far as I know, And I know quite well because I've been participating many times in projects which you organized. You never lose touch with Tskhinvalians and always try to conduct interesting projects. And your ongoing project, and this is at the last stage and supported by Cobram, and our journalist actually was attending book publishing. And let's see the report and just tell us in more detail just how the project actually just got started. The singing team Liachvi back in the 80s was founded in Tskhinvali, and this book, Saga about Tskhinvalians, talks about that. And the book keeps live and positive histories of those people who greatly contributed to development of Georgian-Ossetian relationships and construction of South Ossetian Soviet district. And young people who live in Tskhinvali, they don't remember and they don't know just how we used to live in Tskhinvali and the contribution that these people of different nationalities actually just put into the history of Tskhinvali. This is all forgotten, and to keep it alive and to remember, to allow people to remember this, I decided to conduct this project, and Cobra funded that, and we will try to continue it in the future and get more people involved into the book pages. May 29 a presentation of the book united those people who have known each other for a long time. They just gladly remember the years they lived together. This book takes you back to your childhood, to your theater, favorite theater, to your friends, and so on. You become sad and you become also optimistic at the same time on account of, our country still will manage to actually just achieve success if we manage actually to do it through peace and building our bridges. So we have left more than 30 years Tskhinvali, and we are almost actually just far away. And it's something like your life has gone, as if it has gone. But now we can see that your contribution was appreciated, and it's a very good feeling that you are respected by others. At the presentation, a documentary was presented, and musically it was supported with the singing team Liachvi. Let me thank Marina Meshvildishvili, who just managed to implement the dream and thoughts of many Tskhinvalians, and let me thank all organizers for this great day that allowed us to remember one more time, the protagonists of our book and our life, and to see each other again, which has been happening very seldom recently. This is, the project actually became possible with the funding of Cobram, United Nations and the European Union joint project.
კონფერმის ფინანსური მხარდაჭერით გამოიცა.
In internet, actually, we can say that social networks are characterized with aggressive positions between Abkhazians, Ossetian, Georgians, but sometimes we also come across some warm and friendly dialogues. For example, the Facebook page Stalinir, this is Soviet Tskhinvali was named Stalinir, where your project is very popular. Please, can you talk about it? The way the book is related.
რა კავშირში იყო ეს სტალინირი და შემდეგ თქვენი წიგნის გამოცემა?
By the way, the book is based on that. It's Stalinary, and they keep actually. Talking about war is prohibited there. The things that would irritate people. Stalinary was chosen because they like that time. Who founded this Facebook page? Larissa Giova from Tskhinvali. Yes, Larissa Giova. And we have just very friendly relationships. Before we just post this publication about Tskhinvali, we just agree with her, we get some consulting, whether it's worth publishing, and Larissa always just gladly consults, and the users expect impatiently next publications, and they just ask to publish more and more things. While they don't want to talk about that publicly, they thank me just gladly that those publications actually are posted to this page, and it's a great opportunity for these people. And to get to know what was happening in the peaceful time in 20th century in Tskhinvali, and many Tskhinvalians became my friends after this publication. They ask me different questions. Sometimes they need information about what Tbilisi is like, whether Tbilisi changed or not. They want to come to Tbilisi, and they just not publicly, but they privately write me that they would like to visit Tbilisi. So we have good feedback, and we understood that the book really played an important role. It reminded the Tskhinvalians of what our life was like before the conflict actually started. Thank you very much. Before we talk with Merab, let me remind that we have another block of our discussion. This is a media digest and use of hate speech in Georgian Abkhazian Ossetian media, and also media monitoring about conflict highlighting. Now I will ask our journalist Nina Gelashvili to introduce this information. So during the last months, together with Abkhazian and Ossetian journalists, we watched the media, and as our colleague says, in May 2018, hate speech was little towards Georgia. As a rule, Georgia is mentioned in terms of historical events related with Georgian Ossetian conflict. May 20, day of Azari tragedy, Anatoly Bibilov noted that he urges Georgian government to show political power and courage and apologize to relatives of those who were cruelly dead for those atrocities the Georgian government, Georgian soldiers did, and we will be ready to talk to Georgia. Samiran Diakon, of parliamentary deputy, just talked about the May 20 tragedy. He said that they should remember this day for descendants for this not to happen again, and we should know what Georgian Nazi ideology looks like. June 8, 1920, South Ossetia was recognized by the Soviet government, and while highlighting this day, Georgia was one more time accused of genocide. In South Ossetia, in Sukhumi, a rally to support Syrians was conducted, and the parliament members said that at the cost of people's lives, they tried to get independence. Abkhazian Forum states that population of independent Abkhazia South Ossetia once and for all defines their future to enjoy internationally recognized rights. Pressy writes that Georgia is doing her best to keep Abkhazia isolated from the rest of the world. And in Georgia media towards Abkhazia and Ossetia, international organizations matter. The recognition of Abkhazia and South Ossetia was commented by Georgian and international politicians. Yonush Herman, EU ambassador to Georgia, condemned the decision of Syria, and also the same thing did NATO, European Union, and the State Department of the USA. Europarlament just passed a document where it directly says that Russia is occupying occupying Georgia's part. International law is actually violated. Aslan Juov actually just the supplement of Philip Khachirov, a high-ranking South Ossetian official, and Aslan Juov actually after the car crash was brought to Tbilisi and there is some suspicions that Khachirov is actually related with Meshvildishvili death. There is a question: why do we treat medically those people who torture Georgians? Says David Katsarov, as a member of the organization United We Stand. So that was political thing in media, but however, some articles just highlighted social problems. Newspaper Kvilis Palitra just publishes interview with residents of Gali where they talk about social problems, and especially they pay attention to marble bug destroyed crops. Respondent says that Abkhazians actually blame the distribution of this bug on Georgia. Next month we will just keep monitoring Georgian, Abkhazian, South Ossetian monitoring and come up with results at the next show. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
აფხაზური მედიის მიმოხილვას და შედეგებს მომდევნო გადაცემაში გაგაცნობთ. მე ამ დრომდე გემშვიდობებით ნახვამდის.
Hackathon.
Hackathon, this is the name of your project that covers designers, developers, IT experts, cooperation. This is a Georgian Abkhazian project, Hackathon. As we heard, this is hackers. Hacker and marathon, but hacker, is used in a positive way. And this is not a person who actually hacks and owns someone else's information. This is actually creative cooperation. Merab, please, could you talk about the project in more detail? Thank you very much for the invitation. We named the project Trust Building Hackathon. However, except for Hackathon, we had other events too. But in this case, you're absolutely right. In the society related with information, actually, just hacker is not always just a negative, actually. Just a negative thing, and hackathon is also is not related with hackers directly. It's more like related with just a fast solution to certain just IT problems. And hackathon covers 48 hours, and teams are assigned certain tasks oriented on a solution of problems. And traditionally it becomes, Friday or just until Friday to Sunday evening, and they should have ready some kind of application, internet project, some kind of just a rough version of some website. And it's not just a hacker or just based approach. This is something like a common solution, joint solution to some problems. And these ways are known to Georgian and just Abkhazian Ossetian hackers. And except for this, there are some organizations. And by the way, hackathon methodology is popular world over. To develop startups, and our goal was, to find Abkhazian colleagues to get them involved and to implement joint projects. Of course, hackathon is a central point, and later just it found some development. So, Merab, how did you find Abkhazians, those interested young Abkhazians, and where did you meet for the first time? Can we talk about this? Yes. Firstly, we contacted Abkhazian State University. The United Nations program actually helped us, and then we just invited there. We just found their personal contacts. Actually, nothing was actually published in the internet or publicly known, and But what about the professional level of Georgians and their professional? So do you think that our young people just use, own these technologies? Are they better at these technologies? We have some kind of stereotypes that we are more advanced in these terms. When at first we met in Yerevan, and just programmers. Some of them, actually, some Caucasians are even more highly developed than our young people. Our goal actually was to show that there are better cases in the world than we could do actually. And there are some actually international hackers that are actually better than both of us. And that was our goal, to show that someone knows better, and we can learn together. And Belarus and some Armenian startups, and so all this was a prerequisite for us to target at the best cases and use these cases rather than just competing with each other. And as for their level, relatively experienced IT experts got involved. Yes, there were some students from Abkhazia, but interest seemed to be very high, and more experienced actually just were involved. And I think it was better projects than we had expected. However, just if we had not got this results, actually, we would have amplified actually our activities. You have just 4 groups, maybe 1 Georgian, 4 Abkhazians, or the other way. So this is, not even distribution. It's specific of your projects, right? Yes, we expected the groups to be divided equally, but it happened naturally, and then we thought that it could be even better. Just in even groups, minimum just my number would be 4, based on the roles. Project manager and developer or IT and the designer of the project and just promoters. And based on the minimum quantity, it could be up to 7. The process actually goes on naturally. First, teams brought their ideas. They presented for 1 minute. Actually, 13 ideas were discussed, as those ideas liked actually would be launched. And actually, they just, 4 ideas actually got liked. And 2 ideas actually were leading from Abkhazian side and 2 from Georgian side. But on the other hand, as long as I had been thinking about these ideas, for example, the idea that 2 or 3 people were interested maybe was not launched, and this was actually unexpected for us, but while working, it seems that such distribution turned out to be more actually efficient. Just in terms of avoiding some conflicting situations. Because when they are just evenly distributed 2-2 or just 3-3, some problems may not be solved peacefully. So, and for example, one designer was member of Georgian group, and where Georgians were majorities, and the other way. Thank you very much. Very interesting. So now let me ask you, our guests, those young people. So would you like to talk about anything? Are you going to continue your activities, and are you planning next steps? And do you have any just expectations that it will continue on behalf of Abkhazians? I think it's an attractive topic, and young people think that it could be fast developed, and we have just realistic cases, and we also just use some applications developed by young people, and and they managed actually just through Facebook, they just opened some new, just lively, just masking. So this is was developed by just second or third year students from university, and this application actually was bought by Facebook for just tens of dollars. And such case exists, and it's very tempting and very encouraging for young people. Thank you very much. GEM News Distribute just highlighted the information that Abkhazia's government banned Abkhazia's NGOs to participate in common meetings. It had never been encouraged, but it's still some actually organizations, NGOs managed to agree just to get some consent from high-ranking officials. But after this prohibition, relationships would be very hard. This I think can negatively influence, and Liana Kvarchelia thinks so, who represents Sukhumi Humanitarian Program Center, and Liana just notes that this is not just prohibition, because prohibition had been before. This is a severe blow at the activities of NGOs, and no one is surprised that actually NGOs should be allowed by governmental officials. This is very sad fact, but unofficially, even in Georgia, with such prohibition, I remember, I knew it from coordinators, those who participated in this dialogue. In the middle of 2000s, national movement government just informally for governmental members were prohibited to participate in dialogues like that. Yes, and of course, we should not be surprised, but I think it's a very sad and disappointing fact. You wanted to say something, Zolma? So let me welcome everybody. Let me just thank every coordinator for these initiatives, for which we heard in the studio, and of course, it is related with those prohibitions which publicly actually was announced, unfortunately, because those people who, on the one hand, participated in different meetings, for example, young people, for example, if Georgian side would represent civic sector and activists from private sector, from Abkhazia, very often just public governmental sector actually just participated, and for them it would be very hard to participate. It's a very sad fact, and on the other hand, this is the only opportunity for them to see Europe, to see the developed world, and this information and spirits actually to be brought to their own space and area. So I think this is very, very alarming trend, and we also know many cases when Abkhazian side international organizations, those just activists and NGOs, they are going very hard way. Just being questioned, things like that. In order to be able to participate in these meetings and then go back to Abkhazia, I think even for them it's going to be even harder. This way is going to be harder, and I don't know what could be the position of Georgian side, but I think there should be some international feedback just on behalf of the international community, because actually this is very negatively reflected on our activities. This is what I wanted to say. I completely stand behind what you have said, and it means that in terms of isolation actually is getting harder and harder. because government representatives will no longer just have information. I mean, those who got a lot of information and from international contacts, this trend actually exists. But still, let's hope that this is not the final and some things can be changed. Thank you very much for coming here. Let me wish success, and in 1 month we will have again an opportunity to talk about the transformation of our conflict. Thank you very much.